wait on her, but I hope she
I'll
comes.
get Chet.
Oh, I get my name in the paper again.
Oh, yeah. We're also, Jerry, live streamed. That's what I asked her about. Are we on the air yet? So,
You are live. You are.
Camera's pointing right at you.
I told you to control him, didn't I? For 15 seconds.
You put it there on purpose. He's gonna get it.
Good evening, Washington Courthouse. It is 7:30 PM on April 27th, 2022. Time for our second regular meeting of April. At this time, Ms. Hernandez will lead us in the invocation, and I'll lead us in the pledge. If you are able, would you please stand?
Please join me in prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for all our blessings, health, a sense of community, church, friendship, family, and freedom. Thank you for all of our new businesses, opportunities that are coming to our community, which only instills our community and makes us more stable. As leaders of our community, please guide us to make appropriate decisions for all of our members in this community. And most of all, remind us every day of all our own blessings. In Jesus' name, amen.
Join me in the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Kendra. Roll call, please.
Hawk,
Here.
Hernandez,
Here.
Johnson,
Here.
Schultz,
Here.
Blair,
Here.
Chrisman,
Here.
Lynch.
Here. We have a couple of minutes of meetings to approve. The first one is the regular council meeting held on April 13th, 2022. Do we have any corrections, additions, subtractions that need to be made from those minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I don't know how important this is or not, but there was no mention of the Mr. Kearns that spoke in that last meeting.
Oh.
Did I miss that?
Kelly, can we add back
We
to the
definitely will.
spoke and to the minutes? Thank you, Mrs. Blair. Any other changes? With those changes, do we have a motion to accept?
So
Make a mo-
moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Sorry. Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Chrisman,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes. And we have the special council meeting that was held on April 19th, 2022. Any changes in that meeting? Or the minutes for that meeting? If not, do we have a motion to accept those?
I will move that we accept this minutes as printed.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
Roll call.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Abstain.
Johnson,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Chrisman,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes. Okay, do we have any communication, Mr. Denon?
None.
We have, I believe, one council committee report, and that would be Mr. Hawk reporting on the Service Safety and Recreation Committee.
The Service, Safety, and Recreation Committee met in the council chambers located at 105 North Main Street on Wednesday, April 13, 2022 at 6 p.m. Ted Hawk presided, and those in attendance were Mr. Caleb Johnson, council member, Ms. Kendra Hernandez, council member, Mr. Steve Schultz, council member, Mr. Jim Blair, council member, Mr. Dale Lynch, council chairperson, Mr. Ron Sockman, service director, Mr. Jeff Fenari, police chief, Mr. Joe Denon, city manager, Mr. Mark Pitstick, city attorney, and Mr. John Kaufman, citizen. Mr. John Kaufman, a representative from the Ohio Division of Natural Resources, respectfully addressed the committee and encouraged the committee to enter into agreement with the Ohio Division of Natural Resources regarding stocking local ponds owned by the city. Number 2, the committee benefited from a general report of the Washington Fire Department. Number 3, the committee benefited from a general report of the Washington Police Department. Chief Fenari noted that 5 officers had completed training to be certified licensed pilots for the department's new drone program. Chief Fenari advised of the benefits of the program for the city. Number 4, Chief Fenari noted that Officer SRT Special Response Team training had begun. Number 5, the administration advised the committee of a speeding concern on Washington Avenue. The administration will proceed to place the digital mobile speed sign in the area. Number 6, the committee benefited from a general report of the Washington Service Department. Superintendent Ron Sockman advised the committee that the OPWC Court Street Railroad project would begin soon. Number 7, the committee benefited from a review of the DES Small MS4 General Permit Report. Number 8, the administration reviewed with the committee Downtown CARES Act grant. The committee recommended that legislation be brought to council to proceed with the Downtown CARES Act grant application. Respectfully submitted, Ted Hawk, Chairperson, Service, Safety, and Recreation Committee, Mrs. Kelly Ford, Recording Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Hawk. Are there any questions or changes in those minutes? Someone want to make a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from April 13th, 2022.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Chrisman,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes. Mr. Denon, it's time for your report.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Roxanne and Debbie of the Tax Department for their excellent work and attitude. They have done for us a tremendously good job and a tremendous service for many citizens in Washington Courthouse. Please remember to mow your grass, and along while you're doing that, please remember to take care of trash issues around your property. Everybody would be extremely appreciative. The cemetery, we've been making a nice effort out there, and we have been moving along. This weather is a bit of a challenge for them because it's wet and it's cool and grass grows quite a bit. But they are making every effort that they possibly can there. Would like to thank all involved with the visit of the Ohio Supreme Court. Would like to thank the Fayette County Bar Association, and we mentioned earlier Caleb Johnson is now the president of that. Note the contribution of Dale Lynch to the event, and Tyler, I thought, did an exceptionally nice job.
Tyler Package.
Yes, represented the community quite well. Would like to thank Judge Bethard, and really want to make a point about Carmen. I know that that event would have been a tremendous amount of work for her, and she has been a wonderful county employee, and I thought that today was exceptionally well organized. We've also produced the water quality report. We'll put that online. We'll also have hard copies available down in the lobby. The water quality report is produced by every public water system in the state of Ohio. It simply tries to, in plain language, explain any contamination issues and point out what those are. In our case, water quality was excellent, and any water, including bottled water, contains things other than water in it. So when I say contaminants, One of the things that is on the list is some byproducts of chlorination, which, believe you me, chlorinated water has saved more lives than all the doctors and hospitals in history, and you want that stuff in there. But we go through so that people know what is exactly in it, and that is produced every year, which you happily drink bottled water and you don't pay any attention to that. But that report is available and for folks to take a look at if they so choose. Tomorrow is also Arbor Day. We are planting the Arbor Day tree. Well, I should say we are throwing a little bit of dirt on the Arbor Day tree. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock, because we've actually already planted it before it got wet. Downtown, down by the deli. That will be a very nice event. It really recognizes a lot of effort that the citizens of the tree committee put in. And if you're available and can join us, we would much appreciate that. Traditionally, it was at noon because of the schedule of the deli. That's been moved back to 2 o'clock to make it a little bit easier for them. But that's my report for this evening. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions? Thank you, Mr. Dennis.
You're welcome.
I forgot something very important. I have 2 students here this evening. Kaylee, you stand up and tell them who you are, please. Stand up, stand up.
What do I say?
Who you are.
My name is Kaylee Merritt.
Kaylee Merritt, and if you go to street side, you might see Kaylee because she is a very hard worker out there, along with being a very good student. And Troy, stand up and tell them who you are.
I'm Troy Thompson.
Troy Thompson, yes. If you watched the football game for the Blue Lions this year, you saw him playing quarterback. So that's Troy, and he's also a very good student. Thank you, too. Our new finance director has now begun work. She has been here for a week and a half. And I asked her this evening, she hasn't obviously done enough yet to make a full financial report, but I asked her to come up and tell council and everyone how busy she's been and what she's been doing. So
Very
Christina
busy.
Collins, tell us about what you've been doing.
Well, I've been meeting lots and lots of people, going around to different departments, finding out what expectations they have for the finance department, what needs they may have. I've met with the police chief and the fire chief. I had the opportunity, the police chief was working on a grant application that he hadn't done before, so I had the opportunity to sit down with him and kind of assist him with that. So hopefully we'll get that money. And then my current big project that I'm starting this week is we've been wanting to upgrade the financial software system for a while. So I have a call in this week with the software company that we use to hopefully start that process of getting the software upgraded. I've been very busy. I probably could, I don't want to stand here and tell you everything I've been doing.
Very good. We're glad to have you here, Christina.
Thank you.
We are really glad to have you. And I know Joe's glad to have you, and Mark's glad to have you, and certainly council, so.
I'm very glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Pitstick, do you have a report?
Well, as Mr. Denon has stated, we need everybody to mow their grass. We've already placarded several yards already for not mowing their grass. We've also cleaned up approximately 10 properties for trash and garbage. And so people need to pick up their trash because they're going to get a bill on their taxes. It's already been assessed. Thank you. That's all I have.
Well, thank you. All right, next is the, where we have our residents who want to speak to us. I have 2 who have signed up this evening. The first is Jerry McCoy. If you would come up, Jerry, and give your name and address. I just said your name, but for official sake, say your name and address.
Ah, there he made it. My name is Jerry McCoy, reside at 1047 Andrick Drive. I'm here to readdress Trotter's Point rezoning. Right off, I had a very interesting, pleasant meeting with the zoning inspector. Okay. We, excuse me.
I got it.
We agreed to agree on some items, and we agreed to not agree on some items. The items that we decided to agree on was the official zoning for Trotter's Point. There was some speculation of whether it was R1B or R2. And it was mutually decided that that small map I gave you last week that listed the 20 lots is an official zoning map, already zoned R2. My point right off on that is, can you rezone something to what is already rezoned? If it's rezoned R2, can it be on an ordinance rezoned R2 again? To me, that's a little washy. We couldn't agree on that. Another point we couldn't agree on was the assignment of lots and numbers. Mr. Bryant's opinion is those lots have not been assigned a number or anything. That is still zoned R2 with no plotted there. My question to Mr. Bryant was, how can you want to rezone 7 more lots if they don't have a number, if they don't exist? We couldn't agree on the answer to that. And I respectfully ask him to either abstain or not. I'll try to answer those questions. And that's up to you. Okay. Now let's go into the specifics. I have meeting the minutes from the Planning Commission that okayed this zoning request, if I can get them out of here. I've got so many minutes and notes that I hope you don't have another meeting, because it's going to take a while. Okay, in the Planning Commission meeting, Mr. Reed, who represented Trotter's Point, stated, or indicated, I'm sorry, that these duplexes would be hard to fit into these lots, these 7 lots. This is from the minutes of the Planning Commission. Okay. What I have here to refute that is, I'll give it to you.
Okay.
These are the lots numbered that he wants, that says they're too small. If you check them against the zoning in R1B, all 7 lots are bigger than 2 through 14 lots, in both in size, dimensions, the whole 9 yards. So I refute that request from the Planning Commission on that grounds that I don't think is right. Okay. Oh, I have a couple more copies here.
You can give one to me.
If that makes sense, that those 7 lots are actually bigger than the R1 zoning lots. Okay. Issue number 2, ordinance 2/2022. Mr. Reed stated as I had to advise Ms. Hendricks that the lots would be adjacent to Route 35. They noted they would be potentially 22 properties with the potential to have 44 families. Okay, now let's do the math. The original zoning was for 20 lots. 20. He wants to add 4 lots, which would bring the total up to something here, somewhere, 44 family lots. I've lost my notes. Give me a minute. You have this map, I think, so we'll
Yeah.
skip that. Those 3 of those 7 lots that he wants to rezone are not adjacent to Route 35. They're far from it. With the 20 lots now zoned, if you add 4 lots, which would be lots 73, 74, 75, 76, which we're not objecting to, that would bring the total to how many lots? 24 lots times 2. That's 48 lots. That's 4 more lots than he's originally asked for. That is dropping lots 93, 94, and 95 from this zoning request. Okay, where are we at now? Well, nobody's interested in the original R205 zoning. I have it here, annexation and zoning, which, just to touch bases, the map, the original that I have attached to it shows the original zoning of that property, and that Mr. Why can't I think of your name?
Rod Bryant.
Mr. Bryant agreed that is correct. Okay, there's no need to bring that up again. Oh, that takes care of the zoning. Okay. My request is, did you research to whether those lots actually exist?
Remember? No, that's been platted yet, Jerry.
They're not platted.
None of those lots are platted yet.
So how can you rezone lots that aren't even on the map?
We use that as a reference so that you would understand the area in which we're rezoning. We could have made it an acreage if you wanted.
Okay. Well, we'll let that go. That's one of the things we disagreed on. Okay. And not screaming, just. And I already asked you, can property that's zoned R2 be rezoned through an ordinance to R2 again?
Mr. McCoy, may I ask a question, sir,
Yes.
while we're on this?
Where exactly are these lots
Uh,
that are not
okay,
platted yet on our map? What land are you talking about?
you want latitude and
No,
longitude?
oh, I just want to know on
Okay.
this map where they're at.
Okay, this, you accept this map as,
It's just this is a mini of that.
yeah, this is a big copy of that map.
Okay.
Here, from here to here is already R2. It wants 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, these right here. 4 lots right here on this corner.
Yeah, these right here.
I have no objection to that because that's clear along Route 35.
Okay. Where's the property that's not even platted that they're concerned about?
You call this platted?
I'm asking you, you
I
said
call this Mr.
Mr. Brian
Bryant
there.
and I are arguing about. Is this platted with these lot number, sizes, frontage, which follows this, that small,
Here.
well,
This right
I
here.
passed out, yeah, which shows that these lots are the same size or bigger than R1,
Okay.
than R1B.
Okay, thank you, sir. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, now, let's go to the 3 lots that we're objecting to. 1, 2, 3 lots should join the property at Andrew Drive. This lot backs up to the Ager property on Andrew Drive, where, yeah, right here.
But these right here.
Yeah. And something I can't explain, but I will find the answer. Why these numbers changed. The only thing I can, so far, is when these are sold to the Delaware Corporation, they did away with these 3 lots here. Was able to go to 14, which changed caused the number.
Okay.
Let me leave that right there.
Okay, thank you.
So can I ask a question, Ron? When you say they're not plotted, so basically anything right now that doesn't have a house on it over there is not plotted, or just the ones that we're in reference to right now?
Well, it's close. In other words, as you're driving down Red Mile Boulevard, you know the house that we're building on the left, and then there's lots of lots that are available there.
Right, so
They're
those
owned
are
by
plotted.
someone.
That's
Those
plotted.
lots exist.
Okay.
The lots in question here don't exist. You can't buy a lot, doesn't matter, whatever, you name the number. It doesn't exist. It's all one big parcel of land. So those lots get created through the planning process, and it's a very lengthy process that involves the planning commission. It starts with a pre-application sketch, a preliminary plat, construction drawings, and then a final plat. And when that final plat is recorded, then those lots exist, and any of us can then now buy lot number 38. They don't exist at this point in time. We use that as a reference because that was the last preliminary plat we received. It was never invoked. I used it as a reference guide because if you look at the map that Mr. McCoy gave you, the R1B and the R2s flow together. What do I mean by that? Your houses and mine have a zoning classification, just one. If you look at some of those lots there, you're going to see a division line where you have 2 different zoning classifications. I wanted to use this to make it crystal clear what was going to remain R1 and what was there being the request for R2. So is there in theory some of these lots, some of them that were always R2? Yes. Could I have broken it down and maybe reworded it a little bit differently? Certainly. We could have eliminated the lot reference altogether and given you a meets and bounds. We could have given you a longitude, latitude. We could have given you an acreage. To me, I did it that way because we knew we were going to send notices to all the residents. They understand this. They're able to come in and get this plat. They're able to see it and realize that the ultimate aim is to have R2 on that side of the street that backs up to the highway, with all the other dwellings on the other side of the street remaining single family.
So 77 through 92 platted R2 right now, or
If you see any of those lots that don't have any portion of the R, 1B, Caleb, going through, then you're right, then they're already R2, that's correct.
All right, so a decision had to have already previously been made on those.
Right, so that zoning was always in effect. But to make it crystal clear, we just simply use the one lot to the other lot inclusive for you to see that whole piece that's going to be R2. Simply a way for me to try to communicate it the best way without breaking it up and giving you bunches of pieces of stuff that really almost didn't, I don't know how else I could have described it better that would have made it more layman-like for us to understand.
So I guess why was the decision not made on this? To just go lots 73 through 76 and 93 through 95 be rezoned as
And
R2?
maybe we could have, but the planning commission looked at it this way and thought it was probably the easiest way to communicate it going forward.
Well, so see, that's like, I think where Mr. McCoy's big problem is. And I guess in an effort to make it clearer, I think you've accidentally, I'm not saying that anything was intentional, I think you've accidentally made it less clear. So,
Can I ask, I can't read this, they're too small. So between lot 92 and 91, there's like additional lines, and then the same thing happens between 80 and 81 and 74 and 75. Is that a street?
No, that's the two different zoning
That's another-
classifications that are overlapping on certain lots. That was what we were trying to eliminate. Trying to make it clear what's going to be single family and what's being
Okay.
into.
Half of it's R1,
Okay.
half of it's R2.
Okay, thank you.
My contention is that that line goes through a lot, it has to be zoned the lesser density lot if that line goes through that property. That's why there's only 20 lots. Let me ask Mr. Denon, is this the map you gave me in your office 2 weeks ago with you and Mr. Bryant were both there, I believe?
Yeah, we were trying to figure out the lot number issue.
Yeah, right.
And I had that
Right.
map, and I guess.
Okay. That's an affirmative?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's go to this map that I gave out last week, if you still have it. I'm trying to figure out the significance of these extra numbers along the back of it.
Which indicate, which numbers you're talking?
Right here.
92 through 95?
No, let's skip 92, 95. Let's go with these.
Oh, okay.
Because
Now, I
what's the
was, I mean,
significance of those numbers?
is that the R2 that Mr. Bryant's referring to, right here?
That is all of this plot.
Which is all
R2 and the R1B.
Okay, okay. And this up here, you're saying you
What?
got 1, 2, 3 lots that are actually supposed to be R1?
No, these are R1. We're
Okay.
dealing with these three here.
Okay, I got you.
But, see these numbers that here at the back that's been wrote in, what are they?
Okay, I guess, I see.
just a quick question though. Who submits the petition for these lots to be changed? Is it you? So but just a second ago, I guess, you said that you did this, you presented it to us in a way to make it more clear. So was it you presenting it to us, or was it?
I'm not the petitioner, of course.
Yeah.
That's JLB1.
Okay.
That's the bishops, but certainly, as you can imagine, just as we've had a lot of discussion here today,
Mhm.
there's always a lot of discussion and sit-down meetings that go into discussions prior to receiving an application before planning commission. So, I mean, there's a ton of discussion back and forth. What's the best way to present it? You know,
And
how should we present it? And that's what we,
Why those numbers?
that was part of our
Are you
discussion.
talking
That was way
about
into the
that number?
application.
Yeah, see, there like seem to be
For
sequential
me,
with
what
like
I
two,
felt like I was misled.
two numbers,
at the
like that would
first
be the house number.
conversation is
Well, I
that
would assume
we
that
were
that's
told
the
it was
house
along
number.
Route 35 And so when I
I
envisioned
mean, when I
that,
look at that one,
I
Jerry, I
envisioned
would
like
assume it has
this,
something to do with the
and
dimensions.
now
See, that's,
there was
see, there's
more.
two
And
numbers
I
That
there.
doesn't
specifically
make any
asked that
sense.
question.
No, I don't know
Because
what
it's
those
a
are.
zone
That bothers
R2.
me, you know what I mean? Because, and maybe it wasn't purposely
Yeah, I
done,
don't
I'm
know
not
who wrote
saying
that. I
that.
have no
But
idea.
that was misleading to me because I was making my decision on that comment.
And so my concern is, building off of that, in this process,
We have this,
people
this
who are
map.
interested
Okay.
parties have a right to come forward,
With
of
the
course,
numbers.
and to tell us their reasons why they don't.
No, it's not the
And
same
so
map.
if we are so easily confused.
It's
and
a
the
physical layout, but it doesn't have these numbers here.
voices have
Which I
accidentally
interpret
been
as,
get copies of this
quieted or not even presented to us
I
because
thought I gave everybody
of the
one last week.
misinformation,
Okay.
You did.
just from the face of this. So are there potentially people out there who would otherwise come and object to this whenever we have put out to the world, to the city, that our
Yeah.
hearing is based upon all of these lots,
I don't seem to have
Rather
any
than-
more. Maybe I do.
the true lots, the true 7 individually being rezoned. So I think it would be a procedural issue that I'm not sure about.
There is a lot, and I'm talking about these numbers.
Every one of those
I
lots was
take
taken into
those
consideration,
numbers
and all those notices went out.
being assigned either for the city or the
200,
post office.
say it again, say that
You
again.
notice
you
there's
do a
two numbers,
rezone.
Yeah.
and you notice, up here, there is no 2 numbers.
Gotcha.
Like whoever did this knew that that wasn't R2, R2. And the same
Same here.
you get up in here. These are all double numbers.
Can I just say that we need to have, we got 10 different discussions going on. Wait, Jerry. Jerry, wait a minute. We've got a lot of different discussions going on here, and it's confusing, and I don't know how it's gonna come out in recordings and things, so let's keep it to one discussion instead of having 3 discussions.
Can I make a suggestion? Is there a way to like bring this to committee and so that it's less formal and more conversation, or, I mean, is that not a good idea? I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
But I don't think Jerry's complaining about, his concern isn't this down through here, it's those 3 lots.
3 lots.
You're only, well,
3
it all
lots.
comes down to, it's just 3 lots.
Which 3 lots?
I
90
feel that this
93,
developer
94, 95?
No, I
has,
think he's talking about 34, 35, 34, and 33, 34, and 35.
I feel, in my personal opinion, that that developer has every right to petition those 4 lots, 73, 74, 75, and 76. I don't feel he has the right to petition 93, 94, and 95.
Okay, 93, 94, and 95, I got you.
Okay,
So those are the 3 lots. you're
those 3
contesting.
lots, which are adjacent to the homeowners on Andrew Drive.
Okay, it comes right up behind their
Okay.
property.
For the record, I'm gonna ask Mr. Denon a question. Does Andrick Drive, including, Dan Patch Place, have to be completed before any building permits are issued for any lot facing Andrick Drive?
I may have to rely on a little bit of assistance from Rod. Typically,
that's fine.
you have to construct the street before you can sell the lot. The operative issue would be that you could not have a home built on a lot that wasn't serviced by a public street and issue a certificate of occupancy, because it wouldn't have access to public street.
Is that
It wouldn't be
correct?
able to do that.
Joe said it right. In other words, so can a permit be issued without the street being completed? The answer is yes.
Thank you.
But-
That's
Can the
good.
people
That's good.
occupy that
I wanted that for the
before the
record.
street is completed? And the answer is no.
Okay, I
No,
did not.
what, I missed a note.
But there's 2 different things. You could, let's say that they start construction on the street, at that point in time, these lots are platted. Somebody, Rod could issue a building permit and they could commence construction on the house, Jerry. But they would know, you would not be allowed, no family or individual would be allowed to occupy this house until street was done.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
And that would clear up that the street would have to be done before somebody would want to build a lot for $250,000 and not get it certified, correct?
So I think we're saying basically the same thing.
Same
You
thing.
could start construction on the house, okay?
Without the street.
Without, if the street wasn't done, you could do that. I don't know why anybody would, but you can't have a certificate of occupancy until that street exists.
Okay,
So nobody could live in it.
okay.
So can I ask a question?
Yes,
Okay, so if we're only contesting the 93, 94, and 95 lots, those are the ones you have an issue with. Is there anything that the bishops could do to make, still build there,
I'll get to that.
but still make you guys happy on the other side?
I'll get to that.
Okay,
Okay, that's down the list.
okay.
Options. Okay. Mr. Bryan and I also had a discussion about the corner lot on Andrick Drive and Red Mile, lot number 16.
Oh, clear for me, we didn't have that.
No, sorry, lot 15. Lot 15, 1261 Andrick Drive.
Oh, here.
The street doesn't exist. It's not built. There's 127 feet off of Red Mile, stubbed off with a dirt pile, right beyond lot 15, 1261. How did that house get a occupancy certificate without Andrick Drive being completed? And the reason why I ask, next month, can lot 68, right beside that, be built without a street, right on around the corner? That's a question.
So your same argument would hold true at the very dead end of Andrick Drive. It too stubs and goes no further. So what you're looking at, the lot there, is the first phase. It has frontage both on Red Mile Boulevard and Andrick Drive. Just because Andrick Drive doesn't connect all the way to the other Andrick Drive doesn't mean that that portion of the street's not Andrick Drive. It's Andrick Drive.
On the plat. Yeah, okay. But that begs the question, if it can be done there, can it be done in piecemeal right on around? 10 lots, build houses, build street, 10 houses, build street, 10 houses. That's the question. Okay, I'm about done. And I spoke with this lady that owned that house. She is totally confused about what her house number is. She has on her mailbox, what did I do with that? Okay, she has on her mailbox and her house, the address is 1232. Now, 1232 is where? Nowhere on the map. Where in reality is 1261 Andrick Drive. She is totally confused. I would like somebody to take the initiative and contact her and straighten that out. Okay. That's that portion. Now, questions to the council. Can council stand back and not approve this zoning request the way it is presented to the zoning board? Can you tabled it last month. Can it be tabled permanent? That's option one. Question. Option two, no motion to send this ordinance on, or a motion and no second. Does that terminate the ordinance? Option three, the zoning inspector, city council, city manager contact this JB Holdings and see if they will resubmit the zoning to eliminate lots 93, 94, 95. Or let me rephrase that. Only rezone lot 90, only rezone lot number 73, 74, 75, and 76, which front 35, and eliminate the zoning request for lot 93, 94, and 95. I respectfully would like a motion or an answer on those three questions, either 1, 2, or 3, if possible, or table it until we can research it even more.
Art, we have a deadline on
Thank you, lady and gentlemen, for your attention. I hope it don't run too long. Hope it isn't too much there.
So.
I know, this is 10 minutes. I've been a week on this, so. Thank you.
very much. Thank you.
First of all, Jerry, I know we can table it again. We can table the motion again, I know that,
Okay.
and we can continue to table.
Okay.
Permanently, that's another story.
Yeah. Would you like these other two options in writing, or you got it, you got it?
But I would ask our attorney and Rod about your other options. Obviously, we can put it up for a vote and defeat it, obviously. But it would take 6 out of the 7 of us to vote it down.
No.
Because it takes 6 out of 7 to vote down a planning commission recommendation.
Can I ask a question?
Yes?
That is if it goes to the third reading, and I understand. Don't let it go to the third reading. Let's do it at the second meeting.
Okay, I mean, that's an option.
Yeah, no motion, or if there is a motion, no second, does that terminated, that ordinance terminated?
Mark? If there's no second,
Well, would that terminate it?
yeah?
Probably would, but it's not, we're not getting anywhere with the decision.
Right.
I understand if it goes to the third reading and it's accepted, it takes, or it's voted on, it takes 3/4 or more
To
to turn
defeat
it
it.
down. But not the second one. How many?
Well, the second one would be the same. If 6 people voted against it, it ends,
Okay.
whether it's second or third.
It's-
Obviously, if 6 people don't, then it continues
Well,
to the third reading.
how many have to vote no before it's turned down?
6 out of 7.
6 out of 7, even the second reading. Okay, I got that. I understand that now. I'm not sure, but I understand what you're saying.
Well, that's basically true.
Yes.
And it doesn't make a difference whether it's second reading or third reading. If there's 6 people who vote it down, it ends. 6
Yeah.
of the 7 of us. If fewer than 6, then it continues. Okay?
Okay.
I have another person who I think wants to speak on the same thing, Zeke, is that true?
I won't even get up there.
Well, just, well, wait,
Oh,
okay.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
If you're gonna say anything, you need to stand up and
Name
say.
and address.
I know this gentleman because we worked for a long time at Sunnyside together. And I wanna say, just if you don't mind, if you've been to a Memorial Day service or any former military's service who has died, Zeke's one of the people that plays taps and does a really great job. And Zeke, I wanted to mention that because it's really a great thing that you and the others do. Now, if you have something just to add, we've obviously heard a lot. If you have something different to add, please do so. But if it's just basically seconding what Jerry has said, then we've heard a lot. So I leave it up to you.
Okay.
Like, say your name and address.
My name is Zeke Zastro, legal name Stephen Zastro. Live at 1070 Andrick Drive, and I'm mainly here. All I'm going to add is, well, first, the topic is new to me, so it's sort of fact-finding. And then the only other thing, I'll go on record as saying that I support Mr. McCoy's position on that. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Zeke. I appreciate it.
Very much.
Rod, I'm going to ask you, I always like to hear both sides, and we heard some of both sides. Do you want to add anything to this?
I don't think so, unless you have any specific questions for me. I think the Building and Zoning Department worked with the Planning Commission and us and the attorney to bring you an ordinance that you could read and pass tonight.
So is there a way, because I still not, I understand that there's these 3 plots that we're having an issue with. Is there some kind of happy medium? You know, let's pass those 3 and let them build the duplexes, but at the same time, is it fencing? Is it trees planted? Because I think they would be willing to work with us on that. I'm assuming, based on the concern, that it's about your property and having privacy and not having chaos or whatever might come with this, right?
And traffic.
Traffic, okay. So, I guess, but traffic in some ways can't, I mean, because a family could move into a single home and the entire family from, you know, grandchildren to great grandparents could all be in the same house. You can't control that to some degree. But I guess what I'm thinking, for me, what I would be concerned if I own a nice home, I would want my privacy. I wouldn't want that to be interfered with a different type of living style, which is duplexes. Not necessarily, we're making assumptions, okay? Because there's lots of people who live in duplexes. So is there like a fencing or trees or something that could give you the privacy that you need, and they go from 95 up to wherever the church is, that gives you that reassurance? I mean, because the pictures look nice, what they're going to build. There's nothing like that that would get us a happy medium?
No,
No? You either, Zeke?
I am going to stick with my position that 93, 94, 95 should not be rezoned. The other 4, where they're at, privacy, traffic going out to Red Mile instead of Andrick, no problem. The other issue was the attorney indicated these could very well be rentals. That scared me, because we fought apartments for 9 months to get it to R2.
Zeke, do you have anything that you could find a happy medium with to meet them?
I will support
Support him.
his position.
Who should, is it? I do not know this JB holding company. I have no idea who it is. All I know is the name. How can I interact with someone I don't even know. I'm sure the people, somebody on city council has had interaction with him and know if he would be willing to resubmit the zoning request to just include those 4 lots and drop 90, well, 93, 94, 95.
right.
But you understand that he owns that no matter what, right?
He what?
He owns that no matter what.
He owns that.
He owns that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so he owns
He owns.
95, 94, 93.
He owns all those R2 lots,
Yeah, so even if
even if.
we denied the rezoning for 95, 94, 93, you still would have to deal with him in some capacity.
A lot less in approximately, close to Andrew Drive. Just gets it farther away. That's what, yeah. If I own that lot on Andrew Drive, it butts into the R2. If I owned that lot, I'd be jumping up and down a lot harder than I am. I'm just trying to, she's an older lady, maybe protect her property values going forward. Does that make sense? No.
Well, it does make sense. I guess hearing that, you know, there are some sacrifices that we all make living in a city. And if you don't want to be next to someone who you potentially don't like or don't know, I mean, but that's part of the nature of living in a city is sometimes you got to be a little bit cozier to your neighbors than if you don't live in a city. And I understand that that area has been less developed, and so the people who live there adjacent to those properties maybe have enjoyed the more seclusion of that area might bring, but we have always wanted to develop that into something.
We agreed to do that in 2005. We agreed to develop that. We agreed to develop it as R1B and a section of it as R2. We agreed. 158 people signed petitions to get this done. It was a private petition. And the developer finally, after negotiations and meetings, we come up with this compromise, so to speak. That's 17 years ago.
Okay, we're going to move ahead here. Rod, I just asked one quick question. Do you think there's any way that JB Holding would resubmit this any differently? I'm guessing I know the answer, but I'm asking the question.
I really just don't want to speak to that. I
Okay.
don't want to speak on their behalf. I apologize for that.
No,
It's just-
I understand.
I don't feel comfortable.
Okay, I understand.
Mr. Chairperson.
Yes,
A point.
okay, quickly, yes.
With this proposal that I presented, it gains him, how many, I had a figure there, I can look them up, but I had a figure, how many more duplexes he can build with my proposal to dropping those 3 and keeping the 4 from his original zoning request. He actually picks up more.
Okay. Now, yes, Mr.
I
Frisbee.
just had a question, and I could have misheard it when Jerry was going over that stuff. He indicated that Mr. Reed of Wilmington said it would be difficult to fit the duplexes on those lots.
Yeah, I heard.
I'll read it to you though. He indicated that since single-family dwellings were still a permitted use in the R2 district, that they may intermingle single-family dwellings amongst the duplex development. He indicated that ranch-style dwellings were difficult to fit onto the lots and to adhere to the city setback requirements. So what I heard was exactly opposite of what this is. Now, maybe I misheard it. If so, I apologize. Now, I have talked to the bishops, and they're willing to compromise to a point. with some single-family dwellings. I specifically mentioned, I think it was those 3 or 4 around the corner that did not face 35. And they put a lot of work in on it, the planning commission put a lot of work in on it, and the planning commission did, I think, looks like to me, I read it 2 or 3 times, their due diligence. We need, I think, to bring it from the table and settle it one way or the other. And if they can't do what they wanna do, the bishops will probably move on. If they can do it, they can get started, but they're gonna run out of weather this year. And they have put a lot of affordable housing in this town, which is what we need. And, I've been hearing, and it's probably rumor, the rents would be up to $2,000 a month on them, so I don't think there'd be much riffraff in there.
No.
At least I won't be one of them.
Yeah, I won't be.
Anyway, that's all I have.
Can I rebut that a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that.
Okay.
Where he said the single family won't fit into those 93, 94, 95 lots.
The ranch-style dwellings are difficult to fit onto the lots and to adhere to the city setback requirements.
But those lots are bigger than R1 lot.
But if I'm looking at those houses over on across from Kroger's, those villas, they're, to me, tall and skinny. They're not 3,000 square feet spread out. Because I had a 3,200 square foot house, it took up 2 lots. So what he says here is probably fairly accurate.
Okay, we're going to move ahead. I think everybody's had their say. We're moving ahead. So the first place is legislation, and it's previously introduced, and it's what we've been talking about, ordinance number 2, 2022. It is currently tabled. There would have to be a motion, tell me if I'm wrong, to bring it off the table.
That's correct.
I will make a motion to bring it off the table.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Pitstick, for this purpose, just to bring it off the table, all it takes is a majority, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. We don't need discussion to bring it off the
Yeah,
table.
to bring it
Okay.
off the table.
Roll call.
Okay. Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez,
No.
Johnson,
Yes.
Schultz,
I have to say yes.
Blair,
No.
Chrisman,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes. Okay, I believe the vote was 5-2, so it is now off the table. So we are now ready for resolution number 2, 2022. It would be second reading. I'm correct, I hope in that.
We tabled before we had a reading, didn't we?
Yeah, we didn't have our reading.
I thought we had a first reading.
We had first reading.
Oh, we did?
The week before, we had the
Oh,
week
okay.
prior, we had this.
It's
This will be
had
the
one
second
reading,
reading.
because you even
Okay.
mentioned that.
Yeah.
Because Mr. Bishop came in on the
Yeah.
first reading.
Oh, that's right, and then the
And, yes,
second
and
reading
Mr.
was here.
McCoy came in on the second reading.
Yeah, that's true.
So this is ordinance number 2, 2022, second reading.
Second reading.
Do we have to make, we have to make a motion for that, correct?
We do.
Yeah, I move to place ordinance number 2, 2022 on second reading.
Second.
Okay.
Can we have discussion, because I have a question for Rod.
And now you can have discussion.
Okay, Rod, question. Okay, so, because we don't have the whole thing, but I believe I'm seeing this correctly. So Red Mile runs up here.
Yes,
Okay, Andrick Drive is basically one big circle, is that correct?
yes, half moon.
Okay, so whether we have single family at 93 through 95 or duplex, this entrance of Andrick Drive is closer to 41 than this entrance, am I correct?
Yes.
So that is not going to increase traffic anymore by what? Maybe two cars per unit, which would be 2, 4, 6, 12 cars maybe.
Well, again, your point was Crystal. I mean, does a single family maybe generate more than a 2 family? Some of my 2 families on Beacon, that's one person lives on one side, one in the other, 2
Right.
vehicles. I got families that got 4 and 6 cars. They're parked all over. So that's not really a good indicator.
Okay, but am I correct that Andrick Drive, that entrance is gonna be closer to 41, which is where you're coming and going?
Yes.
So, I guess I'm thinking it's not going to really increase or decrease traffic. I am seeing it more as a, privacy, worried about who your new neighbor is kind of issue. That's how I view it, which then I would say to the bishops, well, can you plant some pretty evergreens?
Yeah.
Can you put up a nice fence, some kind of division to clearly distinguish, here's the home versus here's the duplex? And you say they would probably, most likely be willing to do that.
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Any other, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, oh,
Oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry, Ken,
Yeah.
go ahead.
My point would be, I never again wanna see something from a commission or a board that is not accurate. So 77 through 92 are already R2. It is not helpful to me when their job is to make sure that we are given a recommendation from them. That recommendation needs to be based upon accurate things. It is not helpful, and obviously I hope today and last week, or the last meeting session, and all of the trouble has made that clear, that accuracy is more helpful than any perceived ease of just grouping a bunch of things together. So that should be very clear. And that is not on you, Rod, necessarily, because this petition here has a spot. It is signed by the bishops. It has a spot where they could have hired an attorney, someone to help them along the legal process. And then how many people are on the board?
The planning commission,
Mm-hmm.
2, 3, 4, 5.
that's a 5-member board.
So it went past 5 people without any of them noticing. And so now it came to us. And so that's a lot of people along the way who could have potentially made this clear and accurate. And I just say this to underscore how important it is that these things be clear and accurate in the future.
Can I have one more question? So what other properties, I know these are the ones we're talking about, but what else is zoned for duplex? Is there any other properties right now that are currently zoned that were included in that first batch? Can you answer?
Well, again, you have to remember, that preliminary plat doesn't really exist. We
Right.
utilized this as a means to help identify the area in question.
Okay.
So I would kind of leave it at that, and I'm sorry I'm not answering that very well.
Okay, so right now, none of this other stuff is really defined.
We're not bringing that up to date, that's correct. We're just talking about what you
Okay.
see is identified in the last plat that planning commission approved, and those lots, that's correct.
Okay.
Rod, are we saying then that 16, 18, 20 years ago, there was conceptual drawing of lots, whether it's 22 or 92, but the bishops bought this, and so we're comparing old lots that didn't exist with new lots that don't exist yet. So we had maybe room for so many 2-acre lots, but now we want to have twice as many 1-acre lots. That's an oversimplification, I realize that.
But I think-
Isn't that what we're arguing about or talking about?
I think that's accurate, and I think you could go even a little farther than that.
So tell me the old drawings don't really mean anything if they didn't exist to start with, they're just
Yeah.
conceptual.
Yes, sir. That's
So,
true.
to me, the planning commission did do their job, Caleb. I mean, you're not talking apples and apples.
So
Talking
it was.
about 20-year-old lemons and new lemons.
It was brought up to me that these lots start off as R1A. And so if these are R1B, then someone has previously changed them correctly. So if it's previously been done correctly, I don't think there's an excuse for it being done wrong in this instance.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I'll make it short.
Okay, go ahead.
The quandary I have is that this discussion that we've been having should have all been done at the zoning commission, right?
Yes, sir.
And, so I don't know that, I mean, we appoint them to do that job, and there wasn't any feedback at the time when all this was decided. And I'm not saying we should never go against what they do, because that's why we have a 3/4 majority. That means we put a lot of weight on what they decide. And I wanna be everybody's friend.
Well,
Jerry. But I think that the opportunity to do all of this was back when this was all done and decided. Basically, if there was anything set in stone 17 years ago, this is almost like a variance, because all these people were notified, 200 feet around and everything. And, you know, this is what we have now. And so my vote will be contingent on this time. It won't always be this way, but this time, that what they did, they thought they were doing the right thing, and at that time, this discussion should have been held then, and maybe they could have made a different decision than what they did. And at the same time, I've also heard that, and I'm not saying that it's necessarily going to happen, but the bishops might be accommodating in this. And if you talk to them.
can I make a point about the planning commission? I felt they were gave misinformation, which led them to pass this. Like,
Okay, but there were people who had a chance to come speak to the planning commission. Nobody did.
I know.
Anyway,
None of your neighbors or anything, what we're talking about.
any other discussion? Okay. Then we need a roll call for ordinance number 2, 2022, second reading.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Chrisman,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2-2022, an ordinance rezoning lots number 73 through number 5 inclusive, Andrick Drive, Trotters Point subdivision, owned by JB Holdings, Jarrett Bishop, from R1B, medium density, single family residential district, to R2, two family residential district.
Next, we have ordinance number 3, 2022, second reading.
I'll move that we put ordinance number 3, 2022 on second reading.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Chrisman,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Ordinance number 3-2022, an ordinance amending ordinance number 18-2014 and providing pay grade in the classification plan and pay schedule for employees of the City of Washington Courthouse, Ohio, creating and abolishing certain positions and repealing all prior ordinances or parts thereof inconsistent therewith.
All right, next is our new legislation in writing. The first one is resolution number R14, 2022, and in committee, remember, this was the one we talked about.
I'll make a motion that we amend resolution number R14, 2022 to include the chair of finance committee.
Second.
There you go.
You get that, Cal?
Personnel committee.
I mean, finance and personnel, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I know what you're making. And Caleb seconded. Kelly, did you get that?
I did, thank you.
So we first have to vote on the amendment, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, roll call for the amendment.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Chrisman,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes. With that amendment, resolution number R14, 2022 is ready for first reading. Do we
I'll
have-
move that we put a resolution R14, 2022 on first reading.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion. Roll call.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Chrisman,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Resolution number R14-2022, a resolution creating an American Recovery Act grant Did I read that one right? Yes. A resolution creating an American Recovery Act grant program designating Mr. Joseph J. Denon, City Manager of the City of Washington Courthouse, and Mrs. Chelsea Baker, Economic Development Director of the City of Washington Courthouse, as administrators of the Washington Courthouse American Recovery Act grant program and establishing the eligibility requirements.
And obviously, that would have added finance and personnel. That's
But
okay.
I will the next time.
That would have been hard to put in there. Next, we have resolution number R 2022, first reading.
Make a motion, we put the R 2022 on the second reading,
First reading.
first reading.
Second.
There you go.
And discussion. Roll call?
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yeah.
Schultz.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Resolution number R 15-2022, a resolution authorizing city manager of the city manager Joseph J. Denon of the City of Washington Courthouse to award a contract to Cox Paving for the 2022 street and alley paving program.
Very good, thank you. Thank all of you. Thanks to everybody who was here speaking. This is what city government's about. Okay. Miscellaneous. Mr. Johnson, what do you have?
Well, it was mentioned earlier, but the Supreme Court came today, and we had a wonderful event with students who were able to come and hear oral arguments. And overall, I think it went very, very well. Really no thanks to the Fayette County Bar Association. It was all Carmen. Carmen with the Collin Police Court. So she definitely needs all of the recognition for it. She worked very hard putting that together. And no one is quite sure if even in the next 20 to 40 years we will ever see the Supreme Court here again in that fashion. So very rare, for many people, once in a lifetime event. And so I thought it was very well put together. I want to thank them for coming. So thank you.
I'm gonna go to the other end. Jim Chrisman, what do you got?
A very interesting evening. Thanks everyone for coming. Thank the students, and make sure you get your extra points. You should get extra points because it went longer tonight.
That's what I said.
And like we'll get extra pay too. Anyway, that's about all I've got. Thanks everybody for coming.
Ms.
Welcome to our
Hernandez, what have you got?
I want to thank you guys for coming. And that's a hard decision when you got constituents sitting in front of you, but we have to make a decision that's best for the majority sometimes. And I do think that the concerns, if we go somehow orchestrate that, go to the bishops, I think that I want to find a happy medium, so everyone's happy. That's kind of my life. I love that everybody's happy and can live together. So, but I appreciate all your hard work because you put a lot of research into it, Mr. McCoy, and I appreciate that. It made me ask more questions, and that's what is supposed to happen. And then on a good note is Chelsea had mentioned this earlier, but we have our first shot pop with hopefully, knock on wood, good weather. So that's May 13th and 14th, which is the weekend after Mother's Day for those of you. So please, if you have time, come downtown and enjoy your local merchants and enjoy your neighbors and friends. And it's a really fun time when it's nice weather. So, well, fingers crossed. That's it.
Mr. Hall?
Well, Jerry, I hope you and the bishops can come to an accommodation on this. And another thing I want to say, I've tried to meet with new people that have come into the city. I met with Terry several months ago, Terry Wilson, our HR person. And then Thursday, I met with Christina Collins, our finance director, and went home and had a heart attack.
Thanks, Christina.
But anyway, I'm confident in what you're gonna be doing, and that wasn't what caused it. So, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
And I think that's all I got.
It was the pedicure you got, didn't it?
Maybe it was, yeah.
Mr. Blair, you're up.
You gotta follow that.
Why do I have to follow Ted again, you know? But anyway, I also would like to thank all the citizens here. I understand your concerns. Seriously, I really do. But I do appreciate you showing up and at least letting us know how you feel. Also, I'm looking forward to a new future for the city with our new finance director, Christina Collins. I think it ties right in with my quotation that I had tonight.
Go for
Okay?
it. Yeah.
And this one comes from Ella Fitzgerald. Anybody know who that is?
Yes,
Okay.
all the older people. So those two don't know back there.
Okay. Look her up, Google her, you'll find her. She says, "It isn't where you come from, it's where you're going that counts." And I'm looking forward to a new future for the city with Christina, and that's all I have, sir.
Mr. Vice Chair, what do you got?
Well, you know, the same thing, I wanna welcome everybody here tonight, I appreciate the students showing up, and Mr. McCoy, so I appreciate everyone coming in, and all the work you did. Jerry, you put a ton of work into that, and you did open our eyes up on a few things, so we really, really do appreciate that, but I know in the past, others have felt the way you felt about progress when it starts. It is progress, building housing, bringing more people into the city, which creates a little bit that what keeps the wheels a turning, more people, more industry, more retail, more restaurants. That's what keeps the wheels a turning. But we do appreciate all your effort and everything you put into it. So we thank you very much. Christina, welcome to Washington Courthouse. I hope your first week and a half has been pleasant, a learning experience, I'm sure. And as time goes on, you will fit right in. You're doing very good. So thank you very much. So that's about it. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
I've tried very hard not to say much at the end of this, but I do have to say again, as a government geek, one of the best experiences I have had was getting to go, Caleb, you're right, to hear those cases before the Ohio Supreme Court. And the case was fascinating. The attorneys did a great job. And it proves that students can get along for 2.5 hours without their cell phones. Because we took cell phones away before they went out to Miami Trace. The other thing I would say is Miami Trace did a wonderful job of hosting that. We always talk about the rivalry between the Panthers and us, but I'm gonna tell you, it was outstanding, and it had to be a lot of work. So I give them a lot of credit. And the meal that we had today with the justice, I got to sit with the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and that was really an honor. Very nice person, very personable, great, so it was fun. And the students did a great job. All the students, from Fayette Christian and from Miami Trace, and obviously from Washington High School. So it was a great experience. The only other thing I want to say is I appreciate the other 6 of us. This is not an easy job. Anybody who thinks it's easy, I suggest you run. I'm serious. And you get up here and have to listen to people who really care and have points to make, and then have to make a decision. And so you other 6 people, I really appreciate your questions, your concerns. I appreciate what you did. Zeke, nice to see you. Anyway, it's not easy being a person who has to make a decision. And so, thank you, thank you, thank you. With that, let's have a motion to adjourn so my 2 students can go home. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
And roll call.
Hall.
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Lynch.
And yes, and we're adjourned.